Hello, it's Nifa, and today I'm talking about learning from mistakes as part of shadow work. Is it even necessary to ask if you've ever made a mistake? I take the phrase, a man is to err, so damn literally. I have this assumption, which I believe to be true, that everyone makes a mistake every now and then, sometimes even many mistakes at a go on a downward spiral. And mostly it's because at the moment the mistake is done, we do not know better, at least not consciously. Sometimes you might realize it on the spot, sometimes so much later. And oh my, the possible reactions that may arise on the realization you made a mistake. Should we mention how deep it runs when, in addition to that, you realize just how close you were to doing the right thing? The answer was just there if only you took a little more time before reacting and or taking action. If only you thought it through. If only you trusted yourself. Let's talk mistakes. So today I made a mistake. It was like I had a challenge or a test. Life was kind of testing me. This is the way I see it right now. You see, all I had to do was say no thanks from the very beginning. But no, where's the fun in not playing risky games? At this point, it was not even a risk worthy taking. It was not even risky. It was straight foolish. Play foolish games and win foolish prizes. In all due respect, I played and I found out I messed up big time and messed up even more after realizing, oh, I have messed up. This experience had me questioning the impact of a mistake once it's done, the very nature of mistakes, the meaning we attach to them, and what we do after. According to Google, a mistake is an act or judgment that is misguided or wrong. Sometimes we do mistakes that we barely recognize on the act or soon after. These kind of mistakes do not impact us, the doers, in the way we feel or think, but the mistakes we recognize make us feel a whole lot of things like shame, guilt, disgust, and embarrassment, which is to be expected, even though not necessary at all. We experience all these emotions and beat ourselves up as we replay the wrong actions and judgments passed over and over in our heads, as if by doing so makes it right somehow. You and I both agree or can agree on something. No matter how terrible you feel about something wrong, once done, it's done. And all the feeling bad is just a negative way of responding. It's like you just don't want to accept something that's already done. The very best thing we can do is recognize the wrong done as the mistake it really is. Learn from it, apologize if need be, and promise to do better the next time something similar happens. And actually do better. Realizing you have made a mistake is the very first step. Coming up with different ways you could react to a similar or the same situation in the future is second. Choosing the very best approach are third. And lastly, applying that in your life experiences, in the way you respond to others, oneself, and circumstances. I realize how I react to the mistakes I've done stems up from my childhood. Growing up, I learned mistakes are failures, and depending on the severity of the mistakes, punishment should be imposed accordingly. I was not brought up to fail. I learned it was in my best interest to strive for perfection and trying to always be right, on the right, to escape punishment from my guardians, parents, peers, and teachers, and even the wrath of God, because in my Christian upbringing, a mistake is what is referred to as a sin, and God has no room for sinners. The other reason I grew up to avoiding The other reason I grew up avoiding mistakes, being so afraid of failure, was so I could fit in rightly in the society. Failures, evildoers, imperfect people have no valid space in the society, among peers or social groups. Depending on the wrong done, you can either be miscommunicated, cast out, punished in other ways, and more likely labeled as the other, and have to carry this kind of stain or black cloud around you for a very long time or forever because of one or two mistakes you did that one time ago. To make matters even worse, most of the times no one gives you a room for grace or understanding the reasons as to why you acted in a certain way or a chance to make it right, at least not on the spot. You will have to suffer the mistreatments for your actions. Not realizing that this punishment on the spot thing is also a mistake because sometimes the person who has done something wrong, and on this case, a child did not know any better, or they thought it was right until it wasn't, or could be going through something that nobody knows about. Every other person seems to judge your wrong doing from a point of perfectionism only because at that very moment you're the one on the spotlight for doing something wrong, or what most people label wrong based on their morality code and or societal expectations and standards of what is labeled as accepted behavior. As a child, I knew all this. I saw it happen, and oh my, I had my own share of experiences, some of which have shaped my adult life and even caused so much pain and trauma that even now, as an adult, I haven't healed yet. And I have lost so many relationships, which would have been important to have, but it is what it is. Sometimes all you can do is move on your own to avoid more damage and pain for peace of mind. As I put all these in words, I find it quite pathetic how hypocrisy holds a stronghold in our communities where people pretend to be holier than thou, perfectionists, especially on the public eye, when in reality we are all quite familiar with our own share of wrongs, yet everyone seems to agree. If you act as if it's not there, if no one knows, if you keep it a secret deep inside or amongst your small inner circle, then it's like it never happened. You can still show up to everyone else as this perfect human and member of society and even pass on judgment to others who know nothing about your little secrets. It's downright crazy, even because why is it that we have these rules on what to and what not to, even though in our shared experiences we all can agree we cannot keep up, we cannot be that perfect, we cannot live so cautiously and call it living, and on top of all that have a whole set of punishments set in case, God forbid, by bad luck, one might slip and act out. Why is it that we keep holding on to these standards for centuries, even when all we really need is guidance? Is it not how life is to learn through experiences? Let's talk of the guilt and the shame that we experience when we do something wrong. As we And I was doing my own introspection, going through the motions after this mistake that I did, that inspired this thought process. I realized the heavy amount of shame and guilt I felt for not doing the right thing. I felt like a total failure who cannot do right even for their own good. I felt like I cannot even trust myself. I was disgusted and I felt as if the best move would to just crawl out of my skin. I mean, how could I? I felt as though there is something wrong inside of me that I can never seem to get out. I mean, I knew what I needed. I have been making all these adjustments to help me live the life that I have labeled as right, healthy living, yet here I am doing something that sabotages that, and for what reason? So I can feel all these feelings that I am better off not having. I felt so much bitterness, very much messed up, as if I had just destroyed my entire life with that one action. And then I had this strong urge to go on a self destructive spiral because what is the point of even trying to do right when I already belong to the world of mistakes? What about one more wrong action and another? How about I just quit and go back to my old habits and care less? Better yet, care not at all. How about I just accept I cannot ever get it right? And that this all healthy living, authentic living, spirituality craze is just a fantasy that I can never live up to. I mean, how could I be so foolish? I felt the cringe and all these feelings I cannot have words for, and I continued to torture myself, mentally reliving my actions just to feel the disappointments I felt for myself and the shame. In that moment, allowing myself to live through the torture seemed appropriate. Lord knows how more disappointed I would be in myself if I did not feel bad for the mistake done. If I did not feel bad about it, I'd be for sure, be certain. I am lost and I can never be redeemed. Why put myself through this and assume it's the right thing to do? While going through this emotional turmoil, I had a moment of epiphany, a moment of grace, and I found myself disappointed not by the mistake itself, but disappointed by how I was reacting to a small silly mistake, disappointed in how I was treating myself, disappointed in how I was viewing myself based off a mistake I did. And I have realized I would not repeat that. Given a chance in the future, I would choose different because I still want what is good for me, because I would love to keep trying, because I had learned a lesson from that mistake that solidifies even more my reasons and purpose to want to do better for my own well being. At that moment, I realized the impact of the mistake was nothing in comparison to the negative impact I was reinforcing by feeling bad and beating myself up. I was making it worse than it really was, to be fair. The mistake was eye opening, like a flashlight through the old habits that I am way better without. At that moment, I realized mistakes will always happen, and my take should always be to learn from the experience, to know what I do not need, and a chance to change my perspective. As an overthinker, I could not help but analyze this situation further. While as a child, one would be reprimanded by doing something wrong for doing something wrong or punished by the guardian, as as it were in my case growing up. Now as an adult, I only answer to myself and I have become my own guardian. Having learned that mistakes go side by side with punishments, I realize beating myself up and torturing my mind is the kind of punishment we as adults impose on ourselves. That way, no mistake goes unpunished. We cannot allow that. It's not how we were raised. And this interpretation makes so much sense and exposes a lot about myself and the conditioning that plays behind the scenes. The reason I act the way I do. And now I get the whole idea of why I leaned on to shame and being disgusted in myself. It's a subconscious way of punishing myself in a way others would have. Downright toxic. I have for a long time measured my worth in the scale of how much of a good person I am or have been. Am I succeeding or failing? What message am I communicating to the world through my actions? What image am I portraying? What are people's perception of me? I have tried through so many ways to weigh high on the scale, or at least balance it. It's a survival tactic I learned from a young age. If I was a good person, striving for perfection, if I became a people's pleaser, then my worth would be validated. I would be rewarded with a community that would give me a sense of belonging and worthiness. And to stay on their good graces, I would have to be good and stay correct on the weighing scale, cause no trouble, be cautious, belong, and be silent. Help breaks loose when I make a mistake, for this is viewed as a threat to my identity and stability in my brain. I get so worked up with wanting to somehow delete it or go back and write it out right away. That way I may feel good enough and worthy. What an impossible wish that is. For by just knowing I did wrong and that I'm capable of doing wrong, that I'm not this perfect human I think I'm expected to be, and chances are I'll never be, becomes detrimental, and the shame and guilt is as a result of realizing my pathetic reaction to want to cover it up, hide this reality from others, to protect my image. Well, deep down, I feel like I'm a fraud. Deep down, I can clearly see how I might lose everything if they really knew what I know about myself. Deep down, it sucks to know I can never be like them good girls. I've heard they exist. I can never measure up to them. Deep down, I wish I was everything I am not. For if they all saw me for who I am, based off all the wrongs I have done and the way I view myself as I hold on to this secret, then I would never be treated with dignity. I would never be special to anyone. I would have no one of importance to love me. I would be just another random person. It doesn't matter if they cannot see the real me. I happen to know it. And I find that disturbing because whoever it is that they care for, it's not me. At the end of the day, it's just an image I curated because I want them to like me. What a shame, right? All these negative thoughts and feelings I have held subconsciously for a very long time, from when I didn't know any better. And I grew up not recognizing this shadow self that is based on what I thought is expected of me. I did not know when to drop the act, when to let go of these self-limiting beliefs. And worse, I did not know how many aspects of my life experience and self identity I have hurt and broken based on this perspective. And I am so damn sure I'm not the only one. I see the same script playing in the lives of so many people around me. We have the society to thank for it, although it comes to a point where as an adult you have to be responsible of the kind of experiences you want to have in this lifetime. You can only blame the outside conditions for too long, and then you have to do something about it. You have to do things differently, change your mindset, be better for your own sake. You cannot be the victim and the perpetrator and then have the nerve to complain. You've got to snap out of that childlike mindset and grow up. I know that not everyone is able to articulate their thoughts this way most of the times or at all. That's why I do think we have a responsibility to the collective to share our experiences, offer guidance, bring these kind of thoughts and conversations to the light, and more importantly, give each other second chances, be compassionate and kind, and direct that energy to ourselves. We have to put down the burdens we have carried for years, for they are too heavy and they do not serve us at all. We have got to find ways to unburden, set ourselves free, and allow ourselves to live authentically Watch out what you weigh your worth with and question the things that you do. Open yourself up to learn and unlearn and watch your life as it changes for the best. Allow yourself to grow and thrive. You are worth it. You deserve goodness in your life, and you too can experience a beautiful life. I think I have exhausted all I had to say about mistakes. Therefore, as a gentle reminder, you are not your mistakes. You are not your experiences. You are the person living through them, the person observing the unfolding of your living experiences, and you have the power to create the experiences you would like to have. So it helps to not give in to what feels wrong to you. Choose right instead. Choose what makes you feel aligned with the life experience of your choice. Remember, you are this age right now. You've never been this age before. So it's okay if you do not know what to do. It's okay if you try and fail, as long as you are courageous enough to do something instead of freezing. Life will reveal the information you need through the experiences, and it helps to seek out help and guidance. Sometimes the world is full of information. There are people out there who have gone through what you are going through and made it out. Learn from them. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace, and your experience in this world will become a beautiful one, softer, and you will know and experience love and the abundance of the universe. Always remember, you are life manifesting itself in physical human form, and your contribution in this form is highly valued and important. You have the wings, spread them, fly and soar above. Thank you for listening. I wish you a beautiful day. All good things and peace be with you. Subscribe, be a part of the community. Let's grow and heal and learn together. Thank you so much for being here.